It is Locked On NBA Game Night for the night of Tuesday, February 25th. Coming up, Luka Doncic played the Mavericks for the first time since the trade. We'll tell you everything you need to know and how it went.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night in 30 minutes. Wes Goldberg here with Tony East. However you might be tuning in on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. A great slate of games tonight. We saw both of the East favorites in action. The Warriors keep rolling. The Suns, they keep losing, but let's start in Los Angeles, where Luka Doncic and the Lakers face the Mavericks for the first time since the trade. A quick rundown of some of the highlights. Nico Harrison gets a standing ovation from Lakers fans when he entered the court as he watched Luka Doncic warm up. Luka doing push-ups before the game. He looked in shape, fresh haircut. Anthony Davis gets a video tribute. And Luka Doncic during the game had his highlights. A no-look behind-the-back pass to Austin Reeves that drew ooh and ahs from the crowd. Multiple touchdown passes to LeBron James late. Dallas spent most of the game trapping Luka. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. LeBron took over in the fourth quarter. And as for the game itself, the Mavericks, they didn't have Anthony Davis in this game. No Daniel Gafford, no Derek Lively still, but they hung around. They hung in this game. But LeBron and Luka were just too much to overcome. Luka finishes with 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists. Didn't have a great shooting game, but made an impact from start to finish. LeBron had 27, including 16 in the fourth quarter. The Lakers win 107-99. Here's more from our friends over at Locked On Lakers.
This is Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers get a 107-99 win in Luka Doncic's first game against his former team, the Dallas Mavericks. He is now officially averaging a triple-double against Dallas, 19 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists against just 2 turnovers. A lot of emotions in this game on both sides. Anthony Davis injured, but returning for the first time to LA as a member of another team. He gets the tribute video and the thank yous and a lot of daps from former teammates. But in the end, Luka, LeBron James, Austin Reeves combined for 66 points. Dallas is held to under 39%, both overall and from behind the arc. And the Lakers are feeling very good about themselves right now. For more Lakers coverage, make sure you're watching Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcasts.
Tony, the emotions I thought were palpable in this game. What about you?
Yes, I agree. Like early, Lakers went up 7 or 8 pretty quick. And then the Mavs came back, and then they went up 7 or 8 again. The Lakers did. Like, it felt like the Mavs role players were pretty jittery. You know, Kyrie was doing some stuff. Clay looked okay. But, you know, the Kessler Edwards of the world, the Max Christies of the world, the Exums of the world were not, not at the level they needed to be early. And that really hurt them. Like, they roared back into it. They were tied late. But the start certainly looked like it favored the Lakers, who had the home crowd, who have, I guess, a more experienced team. These are both pretty experienced groups. And that kind of rode them the rest of the way. And Luka started really good, which I think mattered for settling into a game like this. You know, he didn't last the whole time. His passing was exceptional. He had over a third of the assists of every player in the game. Like, his passing was sublime in this game. And I think that really allowed the Lakers to settle in. Their defense at the basket was awesome all night. But I think that early stretch really struck me just because it felt like the Lakers were more composed, which matters a lot in these emotional kind of playoff-y feel games, maybe even more than a playoff-y game, the way this one shook out. And in a game where the slimmest margins mattered, that early start with the emotions actually was a difference on the basketball court.
Yeah, it's easy to look composed when you have two genius passers, Luka Doncic and LeBron James, setting the table for everybody, right? And Austin Reeves, he might not ever see a double team ever again.
No,
because he's always on the court with one of Luka or LeBron, and he just feasts. I mean, he is such a talented one-on-one offensive player. We know what he could do from a scoring perspective, and the fact that he's just seeing weak defenders, no doubles, because LeBron and Luka are attracting all that attention all the time. It is just serving up points and baskets and opportunities on a silver platter for Reeves. I thought he was phenomenal in this game. But like you meant, like Luka was so good early in this game, and he did most of his work early in the game. I know the shooting wasn't necessarily there, but he was making an impact everywhere on the court still.
Yeah.
And LeBron, not awesome for 3 quarters. And then 16 points, just a total eruption in the fourth quarter. It kind of reminded me of like a great ace pitcher and closer combination. Like this was like Luka was like Andy Pettit, LeBron James was like Mariano Rivera. They were just like, all right, you take care of it for most of it. I'll come in and I'll close the game and I'll seal the deal. And if this is what it's going to be for the Lakers, that's a pretty nasty formula.
Yeah, my tip for the Mavs and specifically Najee Marshall would be maybe don't too small LeBron James. There's a lot of guys you could do that to. There's a nice basket. I think every Mavs fan appreciates anybody doing that to LeBron, but the very next possession, he goes for a heavy post up. He certainly had the emotion and the hype in the fourth. Yeah, he's playing really well like the last couple weeks. LeBron's playing good defense recently too, and he will know forever that when it matters and it's a tight game that he's got a level that no one else or very few guys in the league have, even at age 40, right? And again, to the composure and experience part of this, like the guys who have led teams that made the finals won this game, and Kyrie's been on teams that made the finals, and he was also great in this game, right? Like it's just how it kind of went. Was the experience was a big factor.
Can we officially retire the too small celebration?
Yeah,
it's not cool anymore. It's been ruined, and it's been ruined for a long time.
LeBron's not too small. Like that was a nice basket. I get it, but like he's huge.
The too small thing doesn't work against the guy that's bigger than you. I understand what you're trying to accomplish there, but when was it Jose Alvarado like did a too small earlier in the season, I was like, why is he doing this? The too small is devastating when you actually do it to a player who is smaller than you, and you're just reminding him of that fact.
Or when they're weak and they do this, they do the too little, they put their fingers. That's more effective to me than
that's a great point. That's a great point. On the other side of this were the Dallas Mavericks. Here's more from our very sad NBA director, Nick Angstadt.
Dallas Mavericks fall, an unfortunate ending, but a hard-fought game for the Dallas Mavericks, and Luka Doncic has his day. He's going to get the headlines, but this Dallas Mavericks team, without their entire front court, just took the Lakers down to the wire, and that's saying something. Kyrie Irving was absolutely fantastic, 35 points in this game. He stepped up in the first half when none of the other Mavericks role players were ready for the spotlight or ready for the lights in LA tonight at all. They were all just pissing the bed. It felt like every single one of them. And then Kyrie was the one that pulled them through. Klay Thompson, 11 points in that fourth quarter. He brought them back to life too. Massive showing from him. PJ Washington gave him nothing on offense. Had 5 assists, but just he's been so good offensively, getting his own shot. He couldn't get anything to go. That hurt the Mavericks a lot. And Lakers, 52 points in the paint. The Mavericks didn't have any of their front court guys. That really hurt too. And just overall, this was a surreal game. It was so weird to see Luka Doncic play against the Mavericks to try and figure out how the Mavs were going to defend him, thinking about different coverages they had to throw on him, seeing Nico Harrison next to the Mavericks bench and seeing him warm up, on the same court as Luka. It was just absolutely weird to see all of that happen in this game tonight. But the Lakers get this one. We'll see what happens in April.
In April, of course, is when Luka Doncic returns to Dallas. I want to we talked about the Mavericks kind of hanging in there, the moral victory of it all, and everything like that. But Nick again hitting on the fact that it is surreal. The whole thing is surreal. Yeah. Are you over it yet? I still can't get over the fact that Luka Doncic is wearing a Lakers jersey. I still can't get over it. Every time I watch a Lakers game,
I still use it as like a phony icebreaker, like in awkward conversations I'm having. Like, did you hear that Luka got traded to the Lakers? Like, it's like been a month, and it's still just crazy and funny to me. Like it's crazy, right? Like I had everybody watch this game. Like I was actually kind of mad because the ending of Bucks Rockets took forever, and I really wanted to switch to the Lakers game because it's just wild, right? And I do feel a little bad. Like not really. No, Nico Harrison deserves this, but the Mavs have been playing pretty good. Like Max Christie looks awesome, and they're finding ways without all these centers somehow. And like you said, PJ Washington's been good. Some other guys are stepping up. Like they're hanging around. They're going to make the plan probably since the Suns are imploding. We'll get to that. Like that should be a cool story about this new team, and like the players didn't get trade themselves. Like they're doing all they can with their situation. It's just no one really cares. It's all like, oh, here's the post-Luka Mavs without AD. It's here they're going to try again. It's just I kind of feel bummed for them because they are playing okay. Like they were tied in the fourth quarter today. They did some good stuff. It's just a really weird reality.
The Mavericks are 5-4 since the trade, including this
playing
loss.
good.
And they've only done it with 2 quarters of Anthony Davis, who was phenomenal in those 2 quarters. Meanwhile, the Lakers, they improved to 7-2 since the trade, and they're getting things done. Really quick shout out to Jackson Hayes, who's just been playing better again.
Where did this come from?
It came from Luka and LeBron being on his team. It's the same thing as Austin Reeves, except Austin Reeves was actually good before. But it's wild. Everything about this is crazy. Coming up, both of the favorites to come out of the East played struggling opponents on Tuesday night. We'll tell you which one of them looked better after this. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year. From the first match, must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. We'll be right back. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night, your first listen. The best way to support the show, subscribe on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. And a reminder that every NBA team has a great Locked On Podcast Network show. Find Locked On Dallas Mavericks, Locked On Lakers for more on Lakers Mavericks. But we're going to turn to the Eastern Conference here. The 2 top teams in the East were in action on Tuesday night. We're going to start with the Cavs, who went into Orlando. They beat the Magic 122-82. Here's more from Locked On Cavs.
Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Orlando Magic 122-82 on Tuesday night in Orlando. This was a dominant performance by the Cavs, mostly from start to finish. They led by as many as 23 in the first half. Then they really opened up that lead to 40-plus points in the second half. Cavs just kind of win the math battle in this one. They were able to knock down a ton of threes. They made 19 threes in this game. Orlando made 5. That's just not a game the Cavs are going to lose. What did impress me about this game is it wasn't the stars for the Cavs that won this game. Darius Garland didn't play. Donovan Mitchell only had 11 points. Evan Mobley was good. He had 17 points on just 9 field goal attempts, but it was the other guys. It was Ty Jerome. It was DeAndre Hunter. It was Max Strus hitting 5 threes. The Cavs offensively have become so great because they're a team that's got some real star power and talent with a lot of the guys that I mentioned, but they're also a team that, at least on the offensive end of the floor, is greater than the sum of its parts. And when you've got talent that is as good as the Cavs have, and what I just said is true, you become historically great on that end of the floor, and that's exactly what the Cavs showed on Tuesday night.
You watched this game, Tony. We kind of split this up. You watched the Cavs versus the Magic. I went and watched Celtics Raptors. So what did you see watching this game closely?
Danny took all my points. That was very impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Their ball movement was awesome without Garland. Mitchell did a good job kind of heading the snake. He wasn't really finishing the plays with his own passes. They had 8 guys with multiple assists in this game. They were really flinging it around. And that's been a very impressive thing. I think it's been well documented that Mobley's passing from the free throw line and elbows has been a lot better. He had multiple assists in this game. Mitchell had some very slick passes. He had a very cool highlight pass at one point in this game on a lob from a cutter in the corner. They just looked really good and connected moving the ball. Craig Porter Jr. filling in as the backup one with 5 assists. Their offense is humming. There's a reason it's been near the top or at the top of the league basically the whole season, and it helps when you make 19 threes. And look, you asked me about the Cavs. They looked amazing. They're the better team, and they've won 7, 8 in a row now. I forget, the broadcast mentioned it during the game. They're rolling again. They're a true contender. It's just kind of sad watching the Magic right now. They can't score. They can't make any threes. Max Strus equaled their whole team in threes. And I was going to make my point about the Cavs about a Strus starting versus Hunter, and Strus fits well, and when he's gunning to make it looks great and all that. But just the Magic just need someone who can dribble and shoot. And that's not an easy player to get, but it's just very frustrating that a team with such an obvious identity and that was so fun last year and started the season so good. Just they had no chance. And I get the Cavs are great, but they had no chance. Like Danny said, the math battle crushed them. It wasn't even close. And the Cavs deserve a lot of credit, but the Magic just need something. It makes me sad. I like that team.
Yeah, Ty Jerome, Max Strus, DeAndre Hunter combined 13 of 18 from three-point range. And those are just the role players. And now, after making that Hunter trade, Cleveland can choose kind of like they can mix and match with their wings, whether it's Isaac Okoro, DeAndre Hunter, Max Strus, if they want the spacing. Dean Wade played 19 minutes off the bench, and he's been great for them when he was a starter. So they've got all these options now. Kenny Atkinson has all these sort of options that he can go with around his core guys. And like we said, like Darius Garland didn't even play in this game. But Orlando, it just feels like their whole season got short-circuited by all these abdominal
They're really
strains.
banged up, yeah.
Jalen Suggs is still out, and I would love to see what this team could look like with Suggs, because to me he feels like their most important defensive player. And you mentioned Orlando's identity. I don't know that they really have it without Suggs out there. They go from a very, very elite defense to merely a good defense.
Yeah.
When Suggs is not in that lineup, and they could put a Cole Anthony in there and try to figure it out, but it's kind of just smoke and mirrors and just hoping for the best at that point. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope silently has not been very awesome for them.
Hasn't
been the player that they hoped.
He hasn't. I mean, he needed to be their best shooter, and he's just been okay. He started pretty it's not a stretch to say their best shooters has been like Tristan Da Silva, probably, who's a rookie. Like they just, it's hard. Like they got 2 for 10 from Wagner and Banchero tonight. Like no one thinks of them as elite shooters, but at some point you need someone to put a 3 in, man. Like only Cole Anthony made more than 1 tonight, and it's been pretty well documented about Banchero's efficiency struggles this year. Wagner's been a little better in that department, but he had 19 points on 21 shots tonight. They have no chance. Like they just have no chance. And fortunately, they played the Cavs. It didn't really matter. The Cavs are just better anyway. But like that formula's got to change for them. I feel bad that we derailed the Cavs talking about the Magic more, because the Cavs are awesome, and without one of their best players, just rolled through a good team. But it's just frustrating watching the Magic, because we saw the proof of concept last year. It's clear it's there. They cannot do it with the team they have right now.
Well, we talked about the math battle, and speaking of three-point shooting, we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics, who beat the Raptors in Toronto 111-101. Closer game than I think, certainly closer game than what we saw with the Cavs. Closer game than I think we thought we were going to see between the Celtics and the Raptors. But they do get the 10-point win. Here's more from John Corrales of Locked On Celtics.
Boston Celtics get 6 3-pointers from Derek White, and they hold off the hard-charging Toronto Raptors in a game Toronto probably thought they could steal from Boston, considering that they were missing 4 rotation players. They came into the game knowing there would be no Holiday, Horford, or Luke Cornett. Kristaps Porzingis was a late scratch right before the game, so they had to piece this together. They went deep into their bench. Jason Tatum was out there with some very unique lineups. One stretch with J.D. Davison, Baylor Shireman, Nemish Queta, and Sam Hauser. That's not typically something you'll see in a winning game, but he did pretty well. 19 points, 11 assists, and 6 rebounds for Tatum. But the story of the game was the late 3-pointers by Derek White to hold off the Raptors. Peyton Pritchard, who scored 20 points, had a big offensive rebound. Jaylen Brown, who finished the game with 24 points despite some of the knee/leg issues. And Celtics just getting contributions wherever they could for however long they could. They started Torrey Craig. It didn't go well, but those are important minutes for the Celtics to get some film, to get him used to playing in these games. So credit to the Raptors for some tough defense. They really, really played hard, but the Celtics just held them off. Now they move on to Detroit, hopefully much healthier, against a Pistons team who's won 7 in a row.
So the Celtics just set an NBA record by hitting at least 15 3-pointers in 13 straight games.
Holy cow.
That's an incredible stat, isn't it?
I consider 15. I cover the Pacers. You cover the Heat. I consider 15 like a really good shooting night for the Pacers. I don't know how you feel.
15 for the Miami Heat seems like a miracle some nights. to do it. They
didn't even shoot that well in this game. 15 for 51 is not even good.
No, but that's when you shoot 53s a game, chances are you're gonna make 15 of them. I thought Corrales said that Jason Tatum was just okay. I guess if you're just looking at the box score, it looks okay, and I'm not insinuating that Corrales is only looking at the box score, but
John at the game. Oh, he only looked at the box score.
But I actually thought that this was a really good example of what makes Jason Tatum really special. That he shot 39% overall, was not efficient shooting the ball, and the box score numbers don't jump off the page, but he was in total control of this game the entire time. 11 assists that led to 27 points in this game, added the rebounds. He was screen setting. He was in such firm control of the game. And the thing that really jumps out to me with Jason Tatum this season is just his decision making. You never feel like he's going to make the wrong decision, right? And he might not be spectacular. He might not be the best player on the court against the best players in the league, but he's an awesome decision maker. And you kind of feel comfortable when he's got the ball in his hands on offense.
Yeah, and he proved it, right? Like, he got the goal, he got the title. People believe in him now. People believe in the Celtics now. Like, he doesn't have to force it. He doesn't have to show how good he is. Everybody kind of gets it. I think it's a lot easier to settle into that kind of role when that happens. And on a night when Torrey Craig is your starting center and you're playing those bench lineups that John's talking about, you kind of got to do that. And he did. Credit to him and credit to the Raptors for keeping this close. I'm bummed whenever they lose a close game because I proclaimed with you that I thought they could sneak into this play-in mix. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. They're 5 games out, but they're the only team left that's trying between 10 and 13. So I still have faith that my Raptors get the 10 seed can happen. I don't think it's going to.
Thought they played really hard in this game. RJ Barrett had some really interesting defensive sequences. Jamal Shed just remains a bulldog defensively. So if you're a Raptors fan, you got to at least appreciate how your team is playing down the stretch here. But back to the top teams in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics and the Cavaliers, after winning these games, they're going to play each other again on Friday night. So you're going to want to tune into that. Coming up, back to the Western Conference. The Warriors keep rolling since trading for Jimmy Butler. Is it too soon to say that they made the right move? We're going to talk about that next year on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. After an epic 50-point performance, celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. Whether you're staying up watching highlights or just need a midnight snack, use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Or do you need a quick lunch, a quick and easy lunch the next afternoon? With Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off any order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. We'll be right back. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night, your first listen. We've got 4 more games on the Tuesday night slate to get to. Let's go to San Francisco. The Warriors, they keep rolling. They beat the Hornets without LaMelo Ball, 128-92. An easy win for Golden State. They've won 7 of 8, Tony, since the Jimmy Butler trade, including now 4 in a row. Then a little bit of a cupcake schedule for them, but you got to give them credit. They're taking care of business, and they look great. Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green playing off of each other is, I think, the hidden part where we didn't really anticipate it. Jimmy Butler getting into the paint, getting to the rim, that physicality, that's an easy sort of, we see how that meshes with Steph Curry's game. I had questions about whether or not Jimmy and Draymond could coexist on the court because neither of them are really a floor spacer. But they're saying, like, poo-poo with your floor spacing, dude. We're 2 of the smartest players in this whole dang gang. We could figure it out. And there's a sequence in this game where they're just passing it back and forth, and Jimmy Butler's finding Draymond Green on a cut, and Draymond's getting a dunk. And this is just the way it works. When you have this level of basketball IQ, plus Steph Curry, plus Steve Kerr, they're getting back to this sort of improv offense that really made the Warriors special for a lot of years.
Totally agree. They don't need any specific one. Well, Steph, obviously they do, but like they don't need any specific guy to just be nuts between those two, or like be creating all the time or playing through one of them. Like they can flow around them or get other guys involved in the actions. That's why, like, they're so spread out today. I believe this is 8 in double figures, 7. Like Gary Payton has a great game, Buddy Hield has a great game. Jimmy Butler had 6 points, and he was still very effective. Like he does unlock a lot of other stuff for them in ways they didn't have before. A wing creator turns out can really help a team that did not have any wings at all before trading for him. So it's fit really well. And you're not even talking about the right transaction, Wes. What really unlike the Warriors is the signing of Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox is scoring double-digit points in 2025. What is going on? Shout out to Kevin Knox. That's
shout out to Kevin Knox. This is also, again, going back to Jimmy Butler. Sorry, all apologies to Kevin Knox here, Tony. But this is the first time Steph and Draymond have played with another elite play starter. Like, their best teammates in the past have been play finishers.
Yeah.
As good Kevin Durant can start plays, I really consider Kevin Durant an elite play finisher. Klay Thompson an elite play finisher. Jimmy Butler is a good play finisher in the playoffs, but his bread and butter is starting plays, setting the table. And Jimmy Butler is a guy who can make the jobs of Steph Curry and Draymond Green a lot easier, and that's exactly what they need at this stage in their career. I don't know that Jimmy Butler works with Steph and Draymond 5 years ago, but he's sort of exactly what they need at this point.
Yeah. I like that. You know what I don't like? You want to hear a crazy stat? I did not come up with this, so if this is wrong, I apologize. From Automatic NBA, the worst point differential across the 4-game stretch in NBA history now belongs to the Charlotte Hornets, who have lost their last 4 games by a combined 145 points.
It's like an average of 30 points per game, right? I mean, it's
36.3. That's 18 more points per game than the next worst team. Yuck!
I'm going to read you the starting lineup for the Hornets tonight. Josh Green, Miles Bridges, Mark Williams, who they tried to trade, Nick Smith Jr., and somebody named KJ Simpson.
Read the bench.
Is it allowed? Or like, is there is there restrictions over some language such as that?
That's not great.
Enough of the Hornets. Let's go to Memphis.
They could use Kevin Knox.
They could have used Kevin Knox. Grizzlies come back from 10 points down to beat the Suns in overtime. Here's more on another tough loss from Locked On Suns.
Suns fall to the Memphis Grizzlies 151-148. Benjamin Garcia, Locked On Phoenix Suns. You know the drill. There's a lot of things to talk about. You know, when it rains and pours in Phoenix Suns land, and today was no different. If I would have said that, you probably would have thought the Phoenix Suns lost by 30, but it was a different gut-wrenching loss today where the Phoenix Suns were up late in this game. Grayson Allen misses a crucial free throw, and Ja Morant goes down the floor, ties this game up. The Grizzlies go into overtime without Jaren Jackson Jr. and beat the Phoenix Suns. The Suns were also without Devin Booker in overtime, but this team is just a completely different team without one of their stars on the floor, and they were dead on arrival. The Phoenix Suns, instead of going home with a crucial road win with 2 pretty easier games coming up against the Pelicans and then potentially a statement game against the Timberwolves, continue their losing ways, and it just continues to mount over and over.
Yeah. But before we get to the Suns part of this, do want to shout out the Grizzlies for what was a pretty great win for them. So he mentions no Devin Booker was in there in overtime. Devin Booker fouls out in this game, as does Jaren Jackson Jr. So you got these weird lineups down the stretch in the fourth quarter and then in overtime. And Memphis is so Ja Morant at the end of regulation with like a minute left hits this crazy leaning floater, then hits like the phone call me Selly. Is that new? I don't think I've seen Ja Morant do that, and I think it's kind of a sick celebration.
I liked it too. Yes, I liked Ja Morant a lot late in this game. He did not play well until late, but he really stepped up when it mattered. I do like that. I like anything new, especially from him. He's really transformed his game.
He didn't do the too small thing.
How?
You gotta give him credit for that.
Who knows how big the phone was? How do they keep finding guys like Jalen Wells, man? That dude is good. That dude is very good. He had
some awesome defensive plays down the stretch. And then Santi Aldama just hitting big three-pointers, a huge putback from Brandon Clark. Phoenix Suns, this is what role players can do. They're not going to take over games, but they can help on a play here and there. This is why role players are important, Phoenix. Meanwhile, like we just heard, another disappointing loss from the Suns, who just, it feels more and more with every game that we're just marching towards a summer with a major reset for Phoenix. I don't know what else they can do at this point.
Dude, like this is it, right? This is the vision for the Suns. 26 from Durant, 28 and 10 from Booker, 24 and 11 from Beal. Bull steps up as a role player and has a good game. Grayson Allen made 6 threes and 21 points, and you still lost. Like if the concept of your team all happens and you still lose, what are you doing? What are you hoping to? It's just sad. It's over.
A fun one in Houston where the Rockets beat the Bucks 197. The Bucks had a chance to tie this game late.
Insane
weird
ending.
stuff happened. And Damian Lillard tries to get 3 free throws. He's fouled at half court, basically on the inbound with just over 3 seconds left. And he tries to get the 3. They never call that. They never call it. I don't know why he tried it. So they send him to the line for 2 free throws, not 3, because get out of here. You weren't really going to shoot a 3 there. He misses both free throws. The last one he misses intentionally. And then the Bucks get the ball back. He misses a last chance heave to tie the game. But Tony, what did you think of Lillard's decision to try to play the ref instead of the possession there?
Yeah. So like the thing that made me go, what? The clock ran and they fouled him immediately. So I thought if they let the clock run, they're letting the play happen, which means maybe they would give him the shot. The spirit of the NBA cannot allow that to be a shooting foul. There are 4 seconds left. He was not pulling a 60-footer. That would be the dumbest shot ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, duh. He was. And if you're gonna call that a foul bait, like they're trying to foul on purpose. I kind of hate that. Everything about that. I get why he tried to gimmick it, but it just
Chris Paul tried to get that foul called for years, and he finally gave up a few years ago. So if Chris Paul is giving up on it, it's not going to work for you, Damian Lillard. Like Chris Paul has found every loophole in the book.
If you want to get that, you got to at one point in the game at a random moment just rip that shot, right? Then I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe you were going to do it again.
I took that in the first quarter. I'll take it in the fourth. Right?
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Okay, then I'm in. Yeah, then they win this jump. They got crazy lucky to get a jump ball on a double lane violation at the last second. They got insanely lucky to have a chance. The Rockets, they're good, man. They escaped.
Finally, the Pelicans take care of business against the Spurs with a 109-103 win. They came back from an early 19-point deficit to do it. Trey Murphy, he keeps rolling. 24 points. Zion Williamson, 18.6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a sick dunk from the free throw line. And we are going
De'Aaron Fox.
And
yikes.
Yeah, look at the box score for the more explainer on that. Yikes. But that's going to wrap up Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.